Welcome to the 30th election in American history.
It was held on Tuesday, November 8, 1904, and the second term of President McKinley was filled with tragedy. During the president's visit to the Pan American Exposition, tragedy would soon strike after the assassination attempt of President McKinley, shot by anarchist Leon Cholgus, who shot McKinley since Leon viewed him as a symbol of oppression. The doctors tried their best, but 8 days later, McKinley would die from infections caused by the gunshot wounds and became the third president to be assassinated while in office. Vice President Roosevelt was inaugurated later that day, and Roosevelt became the 26th president in American history. Booker T. Washington, a famous African-American rights activist, would be invited by Roosevelt to the White House to discuss matters, and this would be a major scandal in the South. Moving on, the anthracite strike, a major coal strike, occurred. Coal miners went on strike to demand better wages and better hours. A deal was made which included a 9-hour workday and a 10% wage increase. A perfect deal that enhanced Roosevelt's reputation as the people's man. While in the Pacific, the Filipino-American War ended on July 4, 1902, and Roosevelt would appoint Taft as the Governor General of the Philippines. Back at home, the Anarchist Immigration Exclusion Act was passed, which banned immigrants who were anarchists, epileptics, beggars, and pimps. Meanwhile, in Latin America, the Panamanian Rebellion occurred. The U.S. sided with Panama due to their plans to build a canal. Soon after, the mesmerizing construction of the Panama Canal would finally start, and this would be a pivotal part of America's rise to world power. Lastly, a major Supreme Court case, U.S. versus Northern Securities, happened. A company created a mega monopoly, and citing the Sherman Antitrust Act, the court favored Roosevelt. This decision would pave the way for Roosevelt to break up monopolies in the future.
For the election, the Republican National Convention was held in Chicago, with the popular nominee for president being incumbent President Theodore Roosevelt, while the GOP nominee for vice president was conservative senator from Indiana Charles Fairbanks. The convention chose President Roosevelt, and establishment liked Fairbanks for the Republican ticket. A month later, the Democratic National Convention was held in St. Louis, Missouri, simultaneously with the 1904 Summer Olympics, the first ones in American history. The Democrats' nominees for president were Chief Judge of the New York Court of Appeals Alton Parker, with Bryan supporters backing publisher and House Representative from New York William Hearst, with the last nominee being former President Grover Cleveland, but he rejected this idea. While for vice president, the nominee was 80-year-old former West Virginia Senator Henry Davis. Alton B. Parker and Henry G. Davis were chosen in order to try to defeat President Roosevelt. For small parties, the Socialist Party nominated popular activist from Indiana Eugene Debs, with fellow socialist Ben Hanford from New York as his running mate. The Prohibition Party nominated activist from Pennsylvania Silas Comfort Swallow, with businessman from Texas George Washington Carroll as his running mate. Lastly, the Populists nominated publicist from Georgia Thomas E. Watson for president, with Indian rights activist from Nebraska Thomas Tibbles as vice president. The campaigning in 1904 was more laid back compared to other recent elections. Ideology-wise, they were nearly identical, and there were few differences between both candidates. Democrats attacked Roosevelt's personality, calling him erratic and unstable, while Republicans showed Roosevelt as a charismatic people's man who should be able to finish his promises and goals in a full term, with Theodore using his charisma and speeches to convince voters to his side. And the winner was Theodore Roosevelt won, staying as the 26th president in American history. Roosevelt won big with 336 electoral votes, with a whopping 56.42% of the vote, and Charles Fairbanks became the 26th vice president in American history. Alton Brooks Parker got 140 electoral votes. but only 37.59% of the vote. Meanwhile, the Socialist Party and Eugene Debs got a worthy 2.98%. The Prohibition Party with Silas Comfort Swallow got 1.92%, a decent showing. And finally, the Populist and Watson won 0.84% of the vote. This election was a landslide for Roosevelt, and he became the first president to win a full term after ascending to the presidency due to succession. Missouri, with its Republican realignment, now became a must-win bellwether state for the rest of this century.
In the Senate, the Republicans won big, winning 58 out of the 90 seats, 12 over the threshold. For the House, the Republicans were triumphant, winning 249 seats, 55 over the threshold. Joseph Gurney Cannon, a powerful Northern Republican from Illinois, stayed as the 35th Speaker of the House.
Roosevelt took his second oath of office on Saturday, March 4, 1905. Roosevelt, in a brief speech, spoke about how we should be proud of America, praising this beacon of democracy, honoring the names of those who came before. And with hard work now, the next generation of Americans will be able to live in peace, freedom, and prosperity. America would continue to rise globally, and this progressive era would become even more prominent, and thus the 30th election in American history came to an end. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video.